good, everybody? I am your host for today. My name is Jay, and we have Dr. Snow with us on the This is Peace podcast. This is a segment that we have called Let's Talk About It. And so right now what we're going to do is we're going to unpack how was this men locker room. This was a very impactful men's locker room that we had. We dove into the topic of mental health. And so I'm going to just give you the floor, Dr. Snow, to first and foremost introduce who you are, what were you brought in to talk about, and then we'll just get into, how it went after that. And so introduce yourself real quick.
Okay. Thank you, Jay. Pastor Barnette, honorable man of God. I've known for many, many years, just love him dearly. So I was honored and humbled that he would invite me to this men's event. And the brethren just were so loving, and I was very graciously received. And so I'm just thankful to be here. The topic is about mental health, especially in relationship to men.
Right.
For years and years and years, mental health for men was a taboo.
Right.
Nobody wanted to accept the fact that men actually have mental health in the church. And these brethren here, this podcast is of course emanating from Peace Baptist Church. So we're talking about men that we shared and talked to in the church, and many people believe that if you have a mental health issue, that means that you were full of sin. You were unsaved, you didn't know God, and you didn't have any faith. But we were here to show that is absolutely not true at all.
Right.
I gave at the very beginning, a little bit of my testimony as a full-time traveling evangelist many years ago, and I've also pastored just a few years, that I had a massive nervous breakdown, and when I was only about maybe, and I'm guesstimating, I don't exactly remember, I couldn't have been over 32, maybe
Right.
about 31. I'm just kind of guesstimating.
Right.
And I was at the top and the zenith of my ministry at my most dedicated time in life. So it was very confusing to me that I would even think about how could I have a nervous breakdown and I have this deep relationship with the Lord.
Right.
So we have to eradicate that mental thought that church brethren don't have mental health issues. When they do,
Right.
all kinds of mental health issues, depression, and anxiety, paranoia, panic attacks. All of these issues, mental health issues, are very prevalent among our brethren in the church.
Yeah.
We know that God can heal and does heal everything, but when you don't even recognize that you even have it, then that's what I think keeps men with mental health issues that they could be healed of.
Right.
They keep it too long.
Right.
Okay. It is my professional opinion, and of course, none of us, we're not God,
Right.
but I believe because many beautiful brethren and men in the Lord just suffered unnecessarily.
Yeah.
Because nobody wanted to say, I have depression.
Yeah.
Yeah. And all of the other mental issues that goes along with that. But men suffer
Yeah.
even in the church.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mental health issues.
Yeah, I want to echo that too, because I think that it is important for us to highlight that we all need help, and I loved how you said, we understand that we have a God, a great God that's there for us, that's going to serve us, that's going to be there for us. But in the midst of us walking through those valleys that we have, we still need help. And I think that as we it's still unpacked tonight with this men's locker room. You are able to see that every man inside that room was able to feel like, yeah, this is speaking to me. I do need help as well. And I think it was just such an impactful, one, visual, but just feeling seen and understood that you just felt in the midst of that room. And so with that being said, for you, I want to see what are your 5 takeaways that you got from just today, the conversation that we had, the testimonies that we had, the panels, all of the different things. What are your 5 takeaways, if you can just list them, that really impacted your heart as you came inside this room and fellowship with these men?
Thank you, Jay. One of the major takeaways that I saw and observed, which I thought was just excellent, and that is tell somebody. I suffered immensely, secretly, and didn't tell anybody what I was going through. I mean, I didn't tell my leader, I didn't tell my spiritual leader, I didn't tell my mentor, I didn't tell anybody. In fact, there were certain family members that I didn't even talk to. Right. And after I went through my mental collapse, later on, not immediately, because immediately I was still trying to hide it. I was so ashamed.
Right.
And so, but later on, I realized that that was not a wise thing to do. So, number one, tell somebody. Okay. I do believe that is one of the greatest things that a person can do. I believe that if I would have shared with someone that I trusted and believed in and got the help that I needed, I really believe that I would have never collapsed like I did.
Yeah.
That's
one.
One. And number two, I was one of the brethren just stopped me before we got in here, and he was asking me. He had one of those questions. It was so many that we couldn't get to. They couldn't get to all of them, obviously. And he asked me. He said one of his questions to be answered was, did I think that mental health issues is a sin? Okay. So number two, mental health issues is not a sin. If we look at in the Bible, all the way from Genesis, all the way through the book of to the book of Revelation, we see men who had times of deep, dark depression. Elijah. Yeah. We saw men who suffered with anger. We don't always like to admit it, but Moses was pushed to the point that he outrightly disobeyed God. Outrightly, when God said the second time, Moses, this time, speak to the rock. First time I told you to strike it, and you struck it. Mm-hmm. But the second time, when the people complained about the water, he said, Moses, speak to the rock. Yeah. Moses, you bunch of rebels, and he didn't only hit the rock against God's command one time. Moses was so angry, he hit the rock twice. Yeah. Now tell me that ain't anger in the raw, purest sense. And that anger had to come from him being always talked about, ridiculed, etc., and etc. So number two, mental health issues are not a sin. Yeah. They're not a sin. And we don't want to bring in Jesus Christ. I mean, as I was telling one of the precious brothers, the Bible says Jesus Christ prayed so hard until his sweat became his great drops of blood. Right. Medically speaking, the veins in Jesus' face, head, neck, busted. Yeah. and the blood oozes out. Tell me that's not anguish. Tell me that's not anguish of soul and mind. Tell me that's not being tormented. Okay. Then we go on to where Jesus Christ, he on the cross, Father, where you at?
Right.
Where are you? Have you forsaken me? So we know there are pure examples all the way through the scriptures, about that people suffer mental health issues. That's clear examples of that.
Right.
Okay, is that 3?
Going on 3 now.
Going on 3. Okay, and number three, it's okay to get help as a man.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
One of my mentors, and I've had 3 in my lifetime. All of them were ministers, and for me, I needed that.
Yeah.
You know, I needed that strong spiritual direction and guidance. And so my second mentor, after I had that nervous breakdown the first time, he and I were talking, and I didn't, Jay, you know this, but you don't know this unless one of your mentors or some precious brethren pointed out. And so he said, my mentor said, and I reiterate what I said in the meeting with the precious brethren. He said to me, there ain't but one God.
Right.
And I'm not him.
Right.
Boom.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because we don't claim that we are God, but we do act like we're a demigod.
Yeah.
Because we're trying to be everything to everybody.
Yeah.
And there's things as a man that we know we should do. I'm not saying for a man to shirk his responsibilities.
Right.
That's not what I'm saying. Okay, if you're a leader, if you're a mentor, if you're a pastor in some arena, if you're a business owner, if you're a son, you're a brother, you're a cousin, you're a father. I'm not saying to ignore your responsibilities.
Yeah.
But it's impossible to be all things to everybody.
Exactly.
You can't. It's impossible for you to be everywhere at the same time.
Right.
So I didn't think I was trying to be a demigod, but then when I look back, that's what I was trying to be.
Yeah.
And so there's not but one God.
Yeah.
And we're not him. Thank God.
Right.
Thank God.
Right.
So it took me a moment to realize I don't have to be all things to all people.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
And number 4, I do believe that people again, one of the brethren asked me about the counseling, and this is what I said too, that I don't think we should overlook the natural. I think that, and I do teach this, self-care is not being selfish.
Right. Exactly.
We need to take care of ourselves.
Definitely.
And that's what I was not doing.
Right.
I'm taking care of
everybody
else.
Right.
And not taking care of me.
Yeah.
Well, God, I wasn't like this, but you hear people, their blood pressure's through the roof. Well, God will take care of it.
Right.
The diabetes is through the roof. Well, God will take care of it. And I look at a lot of people who passed away early in life. You know, Booker T. Washington, one of he's one of my heroes. The founder of Tuskegee, as you know. I love Booker T. Washington, but you know, Booker T. Washington didn't live very long. Yeah, he didn't. He was only, I think, like in his 50s or something like that. Yeah, he didn't live very long. Had blood pressure issue, and at the time, Booker T. Washington was the most celebrated black man in America.
Right.
You know, at that time, and of course, they didn't have the meds that they got now. You know, back then, that was the early part of the 20th century.
Right.
But he just never stopped going. He's never stopped doing.
Yeah.
And you know, he loved his people. He and God in heaven knows he helped so many thousands upon thousands upon thousands, and don't know if you know this, but Tuskegee is not just a college anymore. It's university status.
Right.
So, but you know, his love, his passion, was driving him so that he didn't take care of himself probably like he could have,
right,
and should have.
Right.
So yeah, self-care, it's not selfishness.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. I think that that's really important to highlight, and so we have the you can't do it by yourself. You know, mental health is not a sin. We have the aspect of you need help, and then you also have self-care is not selfish. And so I know that we're, kind of pressed for time, but if you can leave us with that last one, just that stamp to period this beautiful conversation that we have, what will you say your last thing is as we're wrapping up and closing it out?
Okay, stop and get help.
That's good.
Stop and get help. Because if you don't, one of my mentors taught this. He said this: if you don't lay your body down, it's going to lay itself down.
Man.
Right there.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
Stop and get help.
That's so good. Thank you so much, Dr. Snow. I really appreciate this conversation. And I appreciate you for just coming and giving us wisdom from your experience, but then also just being able to connect with every single man that was inside this room and connect with us and allow us to, grow this brethren in the midst of these conversations that we had. So thank you. I am Jay, everybody. This is Dr. Snow. We appreciate y'all for tuning in to the This Is Peace podcast. And this segment is Let's Talk About It. Hope to see you all again soon. Peace.